Ladies, let me tell y'all something right now. If you walked into this room today with a broken heart, with questions spinning in your mind, with that silence sitting heavy on your chest because you ain't heard from him, I need you to sit up straight. I need you to take a deep breath because today you're going to walk out different. See, too many of you have been carrying the weight of a man's silence like it's your burden to fix. Too many of you have been driving yourself crazy, filling in the blanks when he don't call, when he don't text, when he don't check on you. You replay every moment in your head asking, what did I do wrong? Did I say too much? Did I not say enough? And let me tell you that silence starts to feel like rejection. It starts to feel like you're invisible. It starts to whisper lies in your ear. He don't care. You ain't worth it. You ain't enough. But no, baby, that's not what silence means. Silence is not the end. Silence is not proof of your unworthiness. Silence is the beginning of something powerful. Silence is the moment when God sits you down and says, daughter, stop listening to his noise and start listening to yourself. Silence means it's time for you to remember who you are. So tonight, I'm going to break it all the way down for you. I'm going to show you exactly what happens in a man's mind when you don't reach out. I'm going to show you how silence flips the script, how silence puts you back in position, how silence makes him see you in a way he never did before. But first, I got to ask, are you ready? Are you really ready? Because once I tell you this truth, you won't ever beg for attention again. Silence is a teacher, ladies. Let me tell you something right now. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not surrender. Silence is not avoidance. Silence is a teacher. It's one of the most powerful tools you've got in your toolbox as a woman. And most of you don't even realize it because you've been conditioned to believe that if you're not speaking, if you're not explaining, if you're not reaching out, you're losing. But baby, silence doesn't mean you're losing. Silence means you're learning. Silence means you're teaching. Silence means you're taking the power that was slipping out of your hands and pulling it right back. See, a lot of you in this room, you're addicted to filling the gaps. You can't stand it when he doesn't text back, when he doesn't call, when he goes quiet. You get this knot in your stomach and you say to yourself, if I don't say something, if I don't reach out, if I don't break the silence, I'm going to lose him. But ladies, hear me. When you break the silence too soon, when you keep rescuing him from the discomfort of your absence, you rob yourself of the greatest lesson silence can teach, that a man will show you exactly who he is when you stop showing up. Because here's what happens in silence, you get clarity. Silence strips away the noise. It strips away the sweet talk, the excuses, the I've been busy, the you know I care about you, all that fluff. When you stop reaching out, you force the situation into the light. Does he care enough to reach for you? Or was he only invested because you kept the fire burning? Silence tells you the truth in a way words never could. And let's talk about him for a second, because silence doesn't just teach you, it teaches him. See, as long as you're the one keeping the conversation alive, he doesn't have to lift a finger. He can sit back and relax because he knows you're going to call. You're going to text. You're going to keep it going. But the moment you stop, that's when he feels the drop. That's when the silence hits him in the chest. That's when the man who thought he had you on a string starts to realize, hold up, the music stopped. And let me tell you something about men. When the music stops, when the attention stops, when the supply runs dry, they notice. Think about it. Imagine you walk into your house every day and there's food on the table. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. You don't even think about it. You don't say thank you. You just eat. But the day you walk in and the plate is empty, oh, you notice then. That's what your silence does to a man. It takes away the constant meal he's been fed, and suddenly he's starving. Suddenly he's uncomfortable. Suddenly he's forced to realize, dang, I've been taking that food for granted. I've been taking HR for granted. Now let me bring this home to your healing. Because silence isn't just about teaching him. It's about teaching yourself. When you pull back, when you stop reaching out, you give yourself the room to breathe. You give yourself the chance to hear your own thoughts, to feel your own emotions without his voice clouding your judgment. And that's where growth begins. Because sometimes, ladies, you can't hear your own voice until you stop listening to his. Sometimes you don't even know what you need because you're too busy worrying about what he needs. But silence, that pause, that quiet, it's sacred. That's the space where you discover you don't need him to validate you. You don't need him to answer you. You don't need him to call you baby. Just so you can sleep at night. You realize you already had everything you needed inside of you. And don't get it twisted. Silence ain't easy. Silence is uncomfortable. Silence feels like weight. It feels like maybe he forgot you. Maybe he moved on. Maybe you don't matter. But that's the illusion. That's the test. Because in that silence, if you can resist the urge to run back, you'll come out stronger, wiser, sharper. Silence stretches your patience. It builds your strength. It teaches you self-control. Because ladies, let's be real. A woman who can master her silence can master her life. When you understand silence, you stop reacting. You stop jumping every time your phone lights up. You stop waiting by the door for a man who ain't even sure if he wants to walk through it. You stop begging, stop probing, stop explaining. Instead, you let the silence do the talking. Because silence says, I will not chase you. Silence says, I will not beg for what should come freely. Silence says, if you want me, you better step up. Because I ain't stepping down. So when I tell you silence is a teacher, I mean it. It teaches him who you are. It teaches you who he is. And it teaches both of you what the truth really looks like without the extra words in the way. And if you can stand in that silence, if you can let it work on you instead of running from it, you're going to come out the other side a new woman, more powerful, more grounded, and more certain of your worth than ever before. Because the silence you're afraid of right now, baby, that's the silence that's going to set you free. His ego gets shook, ladies. Listen to me right now. When you stop reaching out, when you stop texting first, when you stop filling his phone with, hey, just checking on you, or did you eat today? Something happens inside of him that he may never admit out loud. His ego gets shook. And I don't mean a little nudge. I mean the ground underneath him starts to tremble. Because for the first time, he's faced with the possibility that he's not as important in your world as he thought he was. Let me paint this picture for you. Men live in their ego. The ego is like armor for them. It's their pride, their confidence, their sense of power. And as long as you're calling, texting, reaching out, checking in, that ego is sitting pretty. He feels like the king on the throne. You don't have to wonder if he matters to you, because your actions tell him every single day, you're the man, you got her. She'll come to you no matter what. And for him, that's fuel, that's comfort, that's security. But the moment you stop, the moment the good morning text doesn't come through, the moment you don't double text after he left you on read, the moment he realizes that you've gone quiet, oh baby, that armor cracks. That king on the throne suddenly feels like a boy sitting in the dark wondering where mama went, because his ego thrives on being needed. And when you don't feed that ego, when you starve it with your silence, he starts to panic in ways you can't even imagine. See, men won't admit this, but their ego is fragile. It's like glass. It looks strong when it's standing, but one hard tap and it shatters. And your silence, that's the tap. That's the thing that makes him sit up at night, replaying your last conversation, wondering if he said something wrong, questioning if another man has your attention. He'll try to brush it off. I ain't worried about her. She'll be back. But in the back of his mind, oh, he's worried. He's replaying every move because now, for once, he doesn't feel in control. Let me tell you how you know his ego is shook. He starts fishing. He'll post something on social media he knows you'll see just to see if you bite. He'll send a dry little text. What's up? After 3 days of silence, just to check if you're still on the hook, he'll casually mention another woman trying to get a reaction out of you because his ego needs to know you still care. Ladies, all of that ain't love, it's ego, and your silence exposes it. Now, here's the beautiful part when you stop reaching out. When you let him sit in that silence, you separate his ego from his heart. Because if he's only showing up for the ego boost, he won't last. But if his feelings are real, if his care is genuine, your silence will make him step up, not just show up. He'll have to decide. Am I going to let her slip away, or am I going to humble myself and be the man she deserves? That's what happens when the ego gets shook. It forces the boy to either grow into a man or lose the woman who could have changed his life. But let's be real. Some of y'all too scared to let his ego crack. You're afraid that if you don't reach out, he'll just move on. You're afraid that silence means the end. But hear me, if silence makes him disappear, then you never had him in the first place. You had his ego, not his heart. You had his need for attention, not his love. And wouldn't you rather know that now than waste another 6 months feeding a man's ego while starving your own spirit? Ladies, when his ego gets shook, don't rush in to fix it. Don't rescue him from the discomfort of losing your attention. Let him sit in it. Let him feel it. Because that discomfort is where the truth is born. That discomfort is what forces him to reevaluate how he's been treating you. That discomfort is what makes a man say, hold up, I can't play with her. She ain't one of those women I can half love. I got to come correct. And let me tell you something about men. They may not respond to lectures. They may not respond to tears, but they always respond to a shift in energy. And silence, that's the biggest shift you can make. That's the moment where the game flips and suddenly he's not the one being pursued, you are. Suddenly he's chasing, he's proving, he's checking himself because his ego can't stand the thought that he lost you. So remember this, when you stop reaching out, you don't just go quiet, you shake his entire foundation. You put a crack in the armor he thought could never break. And that crack, that's where the truth slips in. That's where the boy's ego gets exposed, and the man inside either rises or disappears. And either way, baby, you win. He starts to respect the space, ladies. Let me break something down for you. Men don't respect what's always there. They respect what they might lose. And the moment you stop reaching out, the moment you stop filling every empty space with your words, your calls, your energy, that's when he starts to respect the space. That silence that once scared you, that distance that felt like rejection, that's actually the very thing that forces him to see your value differently. See, when you're always available, when you're always the one reaching out first, you're teaching him something without even realizing it. You're teaching him that no matter how he treats you, no matter how inconsistent he is, no matter how much he drifts in and out, you're going to be there. You're going to call. You're going to text. You're going to bridge the gap. And when a man learns that lesson, he relaxes into it. He stops trying. He stops showing up fully because he knows you'll cover the distance for him. But the minute you stop doing that, the whole energy shifts. He notices the silence. He notices that little gap of space where your words used to be. And at first, it might annoy him. He might roll his eyes and think, she's just being dramatic. But when the silence stretches on and on, when he realizes you're not playing games, you're not pouting, you're just living your life, that's when he starts to respect it. Because men are wired to chase. They're wired to move toward what's valuable, not what's handed to them. And when you pull back, when you give him the gift of space, he feels that natural pull kick in. He may not even understand it, but suddenly he's more curious about you. Suddenly he's thinking, what's she doing? Who's she with? Why is she so quiet? That curiosity grows into respect because now he sees you don't revolve your life around him. He sees you've got your own rhythm, your own world, your own light that shines with or without him. Let me tell you a truth a lot of women don't want to hear. When you stop chasing, you don't lose value, you gain it. Your silence tells him something words never could. I don't need you to complete me. I want you, but I don't need you. And when a man realizes he's dealing with a woman who can stand on her own 2 feet, he respects that. He may not say it out loud, but deep down, he knows he can't play with you like he could play with others. And here's the thing, respect grows in distance. Think about a song you hear on the radio every day. At first, you love it, but after a while, you don't even notice it's playing anymore. Now imagine not hearing that song for months, and then one day it comes back on. Suddenly, it hits different. You remember why you loved it in the first place. That's how men experience your silence. When you're always there, he stops hearing the music. But when you step back, when you create space, suddenly he hears it again. And this time it's louder. So don't fear the space. Don't rush to fill it. Let it stretch. Let him sit in it. Because in that silence, he learns to appreciate your presence. In that distance, he learns the difference between a woman who waits by the phone and a woman who builds her life regardless. And when that lesson sinks in, respect follows. He starts to measure his words more carefully. He starts to check himself before he disappears for days. He starts to realize that your silence is not weakness, it's strength. Ladies, the space you create is sacred. It's not empty. It's full of your power, your healing, your energy. And when you stop reaching out, when you stand tall in that silence, you teach him a lesson no text, no phone call, no argument could ever teach. You are a woman worth respecting, not just when you're loud, not just when you're giving, but even when you're silent. And that lesson, that's the one he'll never forget. He gets curious. Then confused ladies, let me tell you something real clear. When you stop reaching out, when you stop sending that little just thinking about you text, when you stop chasing after him to make sure he knows you care, the first thing that happens in his mind is curiosity. At first, it's light. It's casual. He notices you haven't called in a day, and he shrugs it off. She's probably busy. She'll hit me up later. That's his ego talking. He's used to being fed, so at first he assumes the food is still coming. But then another day passes, and another, and that phone stays quiet. That's when the curiosity starts to grow into something heavier. He starts thinking back. Did she say something last time we talked? Did I miss a signal? Is she mad at me? Did I do something wrong? See, ladies, men are not used to silence from a woman who always cared. They're used to you showing up, filling in the blanks, making sure the connection stays alive. But when you pull back, when you stay still, it disrupts his pattern. And let me tell you, nothing shakes a man more than a broken pattern. That curiosity grows stronger the longer you hold your silence. He'll check his phone a little more often. He'll notice the lack of notifications. He might scroll through your social media just to see if you posted something that gives him a clue. And when he doesn't find answers, that's when the confusion kicks in. Wait a minute, this don't feel right. She always calls. She always checks in. Why is she so quiet now? Confusion is powerful, ladies, because confusion is the birthplace of change. A comfortable man doesn't grow. A predictable man doesn't adjust. But when you throw him off balance, when you interrupt his routine with silence, now he has to rethink how he's been moving with you. He can't rely on his old tricks anymore. He can't just assume you'll always be there. Suddenly, he's not sure where he stands. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Confused men start acting funny. He may send you that stranger, text out of nowhere, acting casual, but inside he's testing the waters, checking if you'll break the silence first. He might even try to provoke you by mentioning another woman, hoping to get a jealous reaction that proves you still care. Why? Because his confusion is uncomfortable. It shakes his certainty. And the one thing men love more than anything else is certainty. But ladies, confusion is your ally. Because when a man is confused about you, it means he's thinking about you. It means you're in his head. And when he's in that state, he's vulnerable to truth. He has to decide, am I going to step up and make this woman feel secure, or am I going to risk losing her completely? That decision doesn't come when he's comfortable. It comes when he's curious and confused, when the silence forces him to look at himself instead of coasting on your effort. And let me remind you, confusion is not cruelty. You're not playing games when you hold back. You're teaching. You're showing him that your energy isn't free, your love isn't automatic, and your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. That lesson only lands when he feels the gap. And that gap only opens when you stop filling it. So when you pull away and he starts moving from curiosity to confusion, don't rush in to explain. Don't send the text just to clear the air. Let him wrestle with it. Let him sit in that discomfort. Because that's when he'll either rise to the occasion or reveal that he was never meant to stand beside you in the first place. And either way, you win. Because in your silence, he doesn't just get curious and confused. He gets a front row seat to the reality that you are not the woman he thought he could predict. You are not the woman he thought he had figured out. And that mystery, that confusion, is the very thing that makes him realize he could lose you. He sees your value differently. Ladies, let me tell you something straight. Men do not see your value when you are always right there, right available, right at their fingertips. They don't mean to overlook it, but it happens. Because when something is constant, when something is always guaranteed, the human mind stops recognizing it as precious. But the moment you step back, the moment your voice is no longer ringing in his ear every day, the moment your text doesn't light up his screen like clockwork, suddenly he sees you differently. Suddenly your value becomes clear. Think about a diamond. If a diamond sat in every driveway, on every sidewalk, in every park, people would step right over it. They'd stop noticing the shine because it's always there. But when a diamond is rare, when it's locked up in the case, when you can't just walk outside and pick one up, that's when it becomes priceless. That's when it carries weight. That's when people do whatever they can to hold on to it. And ladies, that's exactly how your value operates. When you're too available, he starts to treat you like you'll always be there. But when you pull back, when you choose silence over chasing, when you take your attention off of him and put it back on yourself, that's when he starts to feel the shift. That's when he realizes, hold up, she's not chasing me. She's not waiting on me. She's living, she's shining without me. And let me tell you, that vision of you standing tall on your own, that's the wake-up call he never saw coming. Because your value isn't in how much you give. Your value isn't in how much you prove yourself. Your value is in who you are even when you give nothing. It's in your presence. It's in your energy. It's in the fact that you can be quiet, you can step back, and you still hold weight. When you stop reaching out, he gets a taste of that. He feels what it's like to not have your energy pouring into his world. And suddenly, he sees just how much you were giving him. And here's the truth. Sometimes a man doesn't know what he has until silence shows him. He doesn't realize how much of his day was brighter because of your voice, how much of his confidence was fueled by your encouragement, how much of his loneliness was eased by your presence, until all of that goes missing. Your silence holds up the mirror. It shows him what life looks like without your energy. And if he's honest with himself, that picture shakes him. Ladies, when he starts seeing your value differently, his behavior shifts too. He gets more intentional. He puts more thought into his words. He starts showing up, not because you begged him to, but because now he sees that you're not a background character in his story. You're the main event. And when a man realizes that, when he feels that loss creeping in, he can't ignore it. But don't miss this. Whether he steps up or not, the important part is that you start to see your value differently too. Because in that silence, while he's learning to appreciate you, you're learning to appreciate yourself. You're realizing that you don't have to give to be loved. You don't have to over-explain to be understood. You don't have to chase to be chosen. Your worth doesn't decrease just because you're not the one keeping the connection alive. So when you don't reach out, when you allow that silence to speak, you don't just shake his perception. You elevate it. You show him that your presence is a privilege. You remind him that love is something to be earned, not something to be expected. And ladies, let me tell you, once a man sees your value differently, he'll never forget it. Whether he rises to meet it or walks away, you've set the standard. And that standard, that's your power. He faces his own reflection. Ladies, let me tell you, when you stop reaching out, when you stop being the one to bridge the gap, when you pull your energy back and let the silence breathe, something happens to that man that he didn't see coming. He's left alone with himself. And for a lot of men, that is the hardest, most uncomfortable place to be. Because when your voice isn't there to distract him, when your calls aren't there to soothe him, when your love isn't there to fill his empty spaces, he has no choice but to face his own reflection. See, here's what you have to understand about men. Many of them use your energy as a cover. As long as you're giving, as long as you're checking on him, as long as you're filling up the silence with your presence, he doesn't have to look at himself too closely. He doesn't have to deal with his flaws, his lack of effort, his inconsistencies, because you're covering them with your consistency. You're making up for what he lacks. But when you step back, when you stop reaching out, all that noise disappears, and all he's left with is him. And let me tell you, that mirror is not easy to look into, because the reflection doesn't lie. The reflection shows him where he fell short. It shows him how little he gave compared to what he received. It shows him how selfish he might have been, how careless with your heart he really was. And some men will run from that reflection. They'll distract themselves with work, with friends, with other women. They'll do anything to avoid looking at what your silence is forcing them to see. But no matter where they run, the truth follows them. Now, not every man will handle this the same way. Some will fold under that reflection. They'll get defensive. They'll get angry. They'll blame you for pulling away because it's easier to point the finger than face the mirror. But others will wake up. They'll see themselves clearly for the first time, and that shake in their soul will stir something inside of them. Because nothing makes a man grow like silence. Nothing matures him like realizing that if he doesn't deal with his flaws, if he doesn't confront himself, he's going to lose a good woman. And here's the part you can't miss: his reflection is not just about you, it's about him. Because when he's forced to sit with himself, he's not just thinking about your silence. He's thinking about the man he is. Am I showing up the way I should? Am I consistent? Am I even worthy of her effort? Am I ready to love her the way she deserves to be loved? Those questions don't come when you keep reaching out. They come when you stop. They come when your absence highlights what his presence has been lacking. Ladies, silence is not just a weapon. It's a mirror. And that mirror doesn't only work for him, it works for you too. Because while he's looking at himself, you're looking at you. You're realizing that you've been carrying more than your share, that you've been pouring into someone who wasn't pouring the same back. You're realizing that love shouldn't cost you your peace, your dignity, or your effort every single time. And while he's wrestling with his reflection, you're growing in yours. You're realizing that you can let him deal with his own demons while you rise above yours. So don't fear his silence. Don't fear what happens when you step back, because that's where the real truth is revealed. If he runs from the reflection, then he was never ready for you. But if he faces it, if he grows through it, if he comes back different, that silence just became the turning point. Either way, you win. Because whether he matures into the man who can love you or exposes himself as the man who can't, your silence forced the mirror in front of him. And a man can never unsee what he sees in his own reflection. You take your power back, ladies. Let me hit you with this truth. You don't take your power back when you scream. You don't take your power back when you argue, when you chase, when you beg, when you write long paragraphs trying to explain your worth to somebody who doesn't want to see it. You take your power back in the silence. You take your power back when you stop reaching out. You take your power back when you finally say, without saying a word, I choose me. Well, for too long. Some of you have been pouring from empty cups, giving and giving while waiting on a man to give you back the bare minimum. You've been so focused on proving you're good enough, proving you're loyal enough, proving you're worth it, that you didn't even realize you were handing your power over piece by piece. Every unanswered text you chased with another, every ignored call you explained away, every moment of silence you filled with your voice, you were giving your power away. And let me tell you, once a man knows he has your power, he'll never give it back on his own. You've got to reclaim it. And here's how it happens. When you stop chasing, stop reaching, stop filling every gap, you shift the energy. Suddenly, he's not the one deciding the tempo anymore. You are. Suddenly, he's not the one calling the shots about when y'all talk, how often you connect, or whether you stay on his line. Suddenly, the silence makes him question himself while you sit back in your peace. That's power, because power isn't about control. It's about choice. And silence gives you back the choice. See, when you pull away, you start to notice things. You start to see the relationship or the situationship for what it really is. You realize, hold up. I was carrying this whole thing. I was doing all the heavy lifting. I was keeping the fire burning while he just sat by the warmth. And the moment you see it clearly, that's when your power clicks back into place. Because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. And once you realize your worth, you can't keep lowering it. And let's talk about what it does to him. Because when you take your power back, it's not just silence he feels, it's distance. He feels the separation between a woman who was chasing him and the woman who's now standing tall, saying, I don't need you to validate me. I wanted you, but I don't need you. And that energy, that's magnetic. Because men respect women who respect themselves. Men chase women who don't chase them. Men step up when they realize they don't control the power anymore. You do. But here's the beautiful part. Taking your power back isn't really about him at all. It's about you. It's about standing in your own reflection and remembering who you were before the heartbreak, before the silence, before you gave so much of yourself away. It's about rebuilding your confidence, your dreams, your joy. It's about saying, I refuse to lose myself trying to love someone else. And when you stand in that, when you truly reclaim your worth, you realize that silence isn't empty, it's full. It's full of healing, it's full of clarity. It's full of your strength coming back home to you. Ladies, your power is in your ability to choose not to chase, to choose not to beg, to choose not to lower yourself just to keep somebody else comfortable. And when you stop reaching out, when you stop running after him, you make that choice loud and clear. You declare to the world and to yourself that you are enough, that you are worthy, that you are the prize. So yes, when you don't reach out, his mind may race, his ego may shake, his respect may grow, his confusion may deepen. But the most important thing that happens, you take your power back. And once it's back in your hands, baby, nobody, no man, no silence, no heartbreak can take it from you again. Ladies, hear me loud and hear me clear. Your silence is not weakness. Don't you ever confuse it. Your silence is not about punishing a man. It's not about revenge. It's not about playing games. No, baby, your silence is healing. Your silence is power. Your silence is the sound of you reclaiming yourself piece by piece. From this day forward, I don't want you chasing after anybody who's not chasing after you. I don't want you explaining yourself to somebody who ain't listening. I don't want you begging a man to see the light when you are the light. Stop giving discounts on a soul that was meant to shine full price. Let him wonder. Let him sit in that silence. Let him feel the space where your voice used to be. Let him miss you so deep that he has to question what he lost. Because trust me, if he's meant to rise, that silence will make him rise. And if he disappears, then silence just revealed what words never could. And while he's over there trying to figure it out, you live. You shine, you grow. You invest in your dreams, in your body, in your spirit, in your life. Because the greatest power a woman has is not in holding on to a man, it's in holding on to herself. The moment you decide with or without you, you've already won. So stand up in your life. Speak with your silence. Walk with your power. And the next time he's wondering, questioning, trying to guess what's going on in your mind, just smile, baby. Because he gonna find out the hard way that when you stop reaching out, that's when a man finally wakes up.